Everyone, welcome back to ACE Exams. This is Maath Alabdali, and today I'll be explaining ATP. I'm going to explain the advantages, functions, and the structure of ATP. So this is for A-level biology. Okay, energy and ATP, ADP, and also I'm going to explain AMP in the next slide. So ATP, its full form of adenosine. It's the short form of adenosine triphosphate. It has a nucleotide. It is a nucleotide, and it consists of an organic base, which is um, adenine. It has also 5 carbon sugar, which is known as ribose, and 3 phosphate groups. So this is ATP. If it is 2 phosphate groups, then it is ADP, which stands for adenosine diphosphate and not triphosphate. So tri is for 3, di is for 2. That's how I remember it. And in here we got AMP, which is adenosine monophosphate, and it's basically the same thing but with 1 phosphate group. So 1 adenine, 1 ribose sugar, and 1 phosphate group. And finally we got adenosine, and it just have adenine and ribose. Okay, so this is the ATP cycle. So if ATP plus water gives us ADP and phosphate group, and this is done by an enzyme called ATP hydrolase, and energy is released for the use of the cells, which is cellular work. And if energy is supplied from respiration, then when energy is supplied from respiration, ADP and phosphate will form ATP and water. So I want to mention that when water, like in this process, when ATP plus water forms ADP and phosphate, this is a hydrolysis reaction, and when ADP and phosphate form ATP and water, this is a condensation reaction. Yeah. Okay, so the advantages of ATP is that only one enzyme is needed to release energy from ATP. However, if we compare it with glucose, it needs more. ATP release energy in small amounts when and where needed, whereas glucose contain large amount of energy we don't need straight away. So we can say that the disadvantage for ATP does not store energy. One thing that I want to mention is that in the exam, never say produce instead of release in this. So it's ATP releasing energy. And ATP is a common source of energy for a multitude of chemical reaction, increasing the efficiency of cells in the body. So this is an international energy currency, basically ATP. So what is ATP used for? ATP can be used for metabolic processes, which basically the building of large complex molecules from smaller, simpler molecules. For example, ATP is required in DNA and protein synthesis. It can be also used for active transport. So ATP can change the shape of the carrier proteins in plasma membranes to allow molecules or ions to be moved against the concentration gradient by active transport. ATP can also be used for movement, so for muscle contractions. ATP can also be used for nerve transmission, so Na plus and K plus active transport pumps requires ATP. And ATP can be also used for the synthesis of materials within cells. ATP can also be used for secretion, so the packaging and the transport of secretory products into the vesicles in the cells. So thank you very much for listening. See you in the next video. Make sure to stay safe and subscribe. Bye.